Welcome to Season 4 of You're Not Alone with Townsend. On this podcast, I'll be sitting down with guests from all over the world to discuss everything under the umbrella of mental health, diagnoses, sharing stories of resilience, medical advice, and even getting some tips and tricks from licensed counselors. The goal of this podcast is to teach us how to understand others, ourselves, and help spread love and light, one episode at a time. Please make sure to like and follow this podcast, and if you'd like to see the videos of these conversations, hop on over to my YouTube channel, TownsendTmusic YouTube, where you can find the podcast and my latest music. This podcast is run solely by supporters and listeners just like you. So if you'd like to help keep this podcast and project going, please consider hopping on patreon.com/TownsendTmusic to be part of the team. You'll also find extra content and questions with each and every guest. Let's hop in. What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of You're Not Alone with Townsend. I, of course, am your host, Townsend. Today is a crazy episode. This is almost going to be like a crime junkie podcast episode, which I never do, but super excited to spread awareness about being on the internet, chatting with strangers, people that you think you know. And this one hits a little bit close to home because I actually know the family pretty well, got to know them. I dug more into their story, and they recommended that I chat with Jessica, who's on here with us. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. It's a crazy story to discuss. And we were chatting a little bit before. She's now an adult with her own kids. And that's just wild to think about. So today, just to give a little insight and a trigger warning type, I like to do that when we have podcasts that aren't just about mental health, but stories as well that may bring up some triggers for some people. We are going to be chatting about kidnapping. We are going to be talking about taking the life of a child, the life of someone who took the child's life. So there are going to be some details in this that might be a little bit triggering. If you don't want to hear that, you may want to skip to the next episode, but I assure you it's worth sticking around. The point of this is to help spread awareness, especially for parents with kids that hop online. They're chatting with strangers or people that they think are friends. And so that's what this podcast is for. Jessica, I kind of like to let my guests introduce themselves. So who is Jessica? Tell us job, location, whatever you'd like to share for my listeners.
Okay. Jessica Bradford. I work for the Arkansas Department of Transportation. I'm the assistant manager in the Traffic Management Center. And if you're from Arkansas, the best way to explain what that is iDrive Arkansas has little icons on it that tell you where the accidents and stuff are. Those are my people. The message boards on the interstates that say things like click it or ticket, those are my people. So we kind of have our hands in a lot of things there. Like you said earlier, I am a mother of two. I have a 16-year-old daughter, gosh help me, and an 8-year-old daughter. And I have been with my husband now, well, this month will be 18 years. So we have got a whole life going. I'm 34. I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah, so earlier we were like, we'll keep that a secret.
34, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of notes on that. 34 is young. Mm-hmm. Okay. So
young, absolutely. I feel young most days.
With a 16-year-old, listen, that would wear me out. Sass for days.
Yes.
My niece is 16, and bless my brother and my sister-in-law. And number 2, iDrive. Thank you for that. That's like the best app ever. Get on and check up for all the wrecks and everything. I wonder where that came from.
Yes,
what
it was
Holy
yes,
moly.
The Department of Transportation created it and gave it to our traffic management center, and we've just gone all the way with it. And so the cameras that are on there, our people are the ones that move those cameras and everything as well.
No kidding. How cool. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I want to just hop right in. So again, we're going to be talking about kidnapping and taking someone's life. I spoke with, her name was Kacie. I spoke with her father, who I've actually gotten to know pretty well in my adulthood through friends and jobs and things like that. And he said he didn't really feel comfortable talking about it, which is totally understandable.
Absolutely.
This is a story that you'll understand when you hear all the details. But he did give me Jessica's information, and he said Jessica is great at relaying this. She was right there with Kacie. So were you and Kacie best friends? Is that how that went down?
We were, yeah. We were introduced by one of our other mutual friends, Samantha, in about the fifth grade. And then by the seventh grade, we were just the best of friends.
Yeah. So when all this happened, when Casey's life was taken, how old were you all?
I was 12 and Kacie was 13.
Oh my goodness. Have you had this conversation with your kids?
So much that I could probably pull my 8-year-old over here and she could do it for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure it is just like a story that is on replay in your head. So again, let's hop right in. Tell us what you knew about Kacie. So to kind of paint her in a light of a real kid, what was she like? What did she like to do? What did y'all do for fun? So you knew her from like fifth grade to seventh grade. Is that what you said?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
So what did y'all do? What was she like?
Now, a quick shout out to our sponsors.
If you're looking to buy or sell, I have the perfect realty company for you. Clark & Co. Realty is located in the Benton, Bryant, Arkansas area. And they understand that buying or selling a home is more than just a transaction. It's a life-changing experience. That's why their team of highly seasoned real estate professionals is dedicated to providing exceptional, personalized services for all their clients. They truly take great pride in the relationships they build, and they always work relentlessly on the client's behalf to help them achieve their perfect real estate goals. They always have the client in mind, and I can speak firsthand when I say how reliable, trustworthy, and quick they were. When I was looking to buy my first home, they were there with me every step of the way, answering every question I could think of. They showed me a great amount of knowledge and patience through the process. It's no wonder they've won so many awards for their outstanding services and their excellent relationships with clients. So if you're looking to buy or sell, there is no better option than Clark & Co. Realty.
Kacie was the best way to describe her is like bubbly. I don't know if they still use that term nowadays, but
What they
there
do
was
now.
just so
Okay.
it was so much energy and always so happy and full of life and passionate about everything that she was doing. Easy to be friends with. She played the saxophone in the band, so she was always blowing that saxophone when she had the chance, no matter what. Thankfully, she lived in the country, so it probably didn't bug many people.
Yeah.
I can see, a neighborhood maybe not enjoying that as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, she was just a very loyal friend. Outside of school, we would just hang out and just, it wasn't like today where you could just run and go and do so many things. So mostly it was hanging out at each other's houses. The internet played a big role in our entertainment back then.
Yeah. So that would have been around 2002-ish.
2002-ish is the when we were in seventh grade. So
Yeah. So
2005, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the internet, for kids that are listening to this, the internet and chatting with strangers, online chat rooms was kind of a new thing. It was newer, right?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I don't. Sometimes I feel like I might block it out, but I don't remember previous to, like even in the fifth grade, I don't think the internet was such a big deal. I think it really got big when we were in 2001, 2002 years, the sixth and seventh grade,
Yeah,
that
I
it blew up.
vividly, yeah, I vividly remember dial-up internet, and you get on
Oh,
the computer and make all these crazy noises, and it would take like 30 hours, it felt like, to get on the internet.
absolutely.
And the first thing I would hop on would be AIM, Instant Messenger.
Game.
And you
Yes,
get
we
on and
used,
you hear the door
yes,
open and your friends are there. You
yes.
just left
And then
them at
your mom
school.
needed to use the phone and you had to get off the
You're like,
internet so your
no.
mom could use the phone.
Yeah, and you had your little screen names, whatever you wanted them to be. Do you remember your screen name?
I do not remember mine. I do remember
Okay.
Casey's
Yeah?
though. So hers was model behavior 63.
Oh, fancy,
Model
fancy.
behavior was, I believe, if I remember, it was a Disney movie back then. And
Yeah,
63, I believe, was her brother's football number.
there you go. So, kind of tell us just about the story about Kate. We'll just go ahead and hop in. Like,
Just hop right in.
yeah, let's just head dive straight in to what in the world happened. What's the story about Kacie?
Okay, so like we discussed again, early 2002, internet's big and booming for us as, youth. I mean, we weren't even barely teenagers yet. Kacie was 13, but that's so new to teenager that I wouldn't even consider it teenager. Um, Boredom. We lived in the country. Our city we live in isn't big, everyone. And so the internet was this big open world of of things we didn't know. And so all of us, Kacie, myself included, and all of our friends were just using the internet for anything and everything. And chat rooms were the thing to do in 2002. So ours was Yahoo Messenger is what we really used. It was, you could message back and forth with your friends, but you could also go into chat rooms that were citywide, nationwide, worldwide at that point, maybe, I'm not sure. And you would go in and you would meet new friends. The big thing was ASL, age, sex, location. That's what we'd always ask people.
That's right.
And you would.
I'm having flashbacks.
Mind blown.
I'm having flashbacks as we're talking. That's right. Yeah.
Yes, ASL. That's what you'd ask. And you would share it because we didn't know of dangerous things. Like I always say, in our small town, nothing bad ever happened. And that's exactly how we lived our life, is nothing bad ever happened. So we met new friends. Kacie made friends with a young man named Scott. He was her boyfriend. He was super nice. We talked to him. Myself and other friends talked to him. Super nice boy, lived in Georgia. Kacie also made friends with a boy named Dave who lived in California. Also very good friends, but they were just friends, and he knew that because Scott was her boyfriend. So, I mean, it was just a friendship that developed. Anytime I went to Kacie's house, we would talk to Scott and Dave on the internet. Anytime any of us friends would get together at each other's houses that had internet, we'd all just talk to these boys and other friends online, but Scott and Dave were our two big ones. Conversations went on for months with everybody, and pictures were exchanged of us, and we would video chat when we could if it was possible. Sometimes it wasn't possible to video chat. So we had this thought in our mind of who we were talking to, and they had a thought of who we were talking to. And friendships progressed as well, where we were exchanging telephone numbers with each other. So Scott would call Kacie, or Dave would call Kacie on her home phone number. We didn't have cell phones back then. And so, I mean, it was just a friendship is really truly what it felt like the entire time. But as things progressed, we later found out that Dave was not who he said he was. He had told us that he was a teenage boy from California, but on December 3rd, 2002, Kacie was kidnapped. That night, her brother got home from school, I believe is where he might have been, and Kacie was not home. The living room area where their computer was kind of in like this heavel. The laundry basket was knocked over on the floor. He found Kacie's glasses that she always wore on the floor, and they had been broken. Their dog was not acting right, and if Kacie would have left, she would have taken George, their beautiful, precious Yorkshire Terrier, with her, most likely. And so he knew immediately that something was wrong. Rick, her father, he was at work that night. He was a police officer for the city close by, which will also blow people's minds that her father was a police officer, and this still happened to her. So investigation came, the police, started doing all their investigating. And by I did not find anything out until the next morning when I went to school. We didn't have internet at home. We didn't have a house phone at my home. So I had just went to sleep and our TVs had went off when they put out what is now called the Amber Alert, was called the Morgan Nick Amber Alert back in 2002. So we missed the TV broadcast for the Morgan Nick Amber Alert that night. Yes. So when I got to school on that December 4th morning, I was walking inside and some of my friends were walking from one building to another just crying, but they didn't stop. And so I just went to my homeroom class. And when I got to homeroom, another friend was in there and she was like, Kacie's been kidnapped. And I was like, no, I think you're crazy.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm serious, that everybody's losing their minds. And so that's when I break down and my teacher's like, take her to the counselor's office with every other human in the school. And so by the time we got to the counselor's office, there's, a herd of us children in the counselor's office just beside ourselves. And that's where we remained pretty much the entire day. People would come in and out, but a few of us, myself, our friend Samantha, we all were in the counselor's office all day and only getting bits and pieces because we didn't know what was going on. But throughout the day, the police started showing up to interview Kacie's friends. The FBI showed up and started interviewing us. And during those interviews, I mean, they were already aiming at something being online. They had made contact with Scott, who is really a boy in Georgia. He's a grown man now, I'm sure, but he was really a boy in Georgia. And he was actually the ones to first kind of alert the police that something was wrong because he was chatting with Kacie that night when everything went down. And when she just stopped talking, he started freaking out. And so he was calling Arkansas police saying something's wrong. So
Wow.
Scott was a good guy.
Isn't that
And
50-50 shot? Like,
50-50 shot. I mean, that's what it was
oh,
back then for sure. And he was a good guy and got pulled into this crazy world. Like, I can't even imagine how he dealt with it alone.
yeah.
Because everybody else was here. But while we were being interviewed by the FBI and local law enforcement, it just clicked with myself and my friend Samantha, which I would say us three, Samantha and myself and Kacie, were the closest. And we were like, what about Dave? And so when we talked to the FBI, we gave them everything we knew about Dave. And from there, I guess it spiraled. They might have already maybe had him on their list, but after school, we went to Samantha's house. My mom wanted me to come home, but I didn't want to be at home.
Yeah, imagine.
Yeah, so we went to Samantha's house, a whole bunch of us girls and some of our guy friends too. And that's where we were all night, just talking and trying to watch the news. I mean, I know it was Arkansas wide news, huge thing. And I know it ended up nationwide for sure, especially knowing that Dave was from California. But about, I would say, 9-ish p.m. that night, we were all there, and Sam had a phone line in her bedroom, and it rang, and I answered, and a friend was like, "Did you hear? Kacie's gone. She's dead." And I was like, "No, she's not," like, because we hadn't heard anything yet. And so, like, I'm like freaking out, and we hang up the phone, and we run downstairs where the TV is. And I mean, we no sooner hit the last stair, and the news report comes on that they had raided a storage unit in a nearby town, and that they had found Kacie deceased, and that her kidnapper, David Fuller, who was David Fagan, the young man that we were talking to, he was also dead. And they put his photo up on the TV, and it's this to a 12-year-old old man. I mean, he was, I think, 47-year-old man, but like balding and old. And it was just like your whole world explodes because not only were you lied to by someone who you thought was your friend, but now your best friend is gone. And so I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain how you're 12, you don't understand. Like I'd never truly lost anybody in my life at 12 that impacted me like that. And so, I mean, what do you do after that? We were just, I would hate to be a parent now and experience that with my kids because it was just, I mean, tears and snot and boogers and,
Yeah.
and just
Whoa, yeah.
awfulness. The one point that we always share when we talk about it is even in the horrible, gosh, awfulness of it all is when we found out and everything, we went outside and it was early December and Kacie had just been wishing for snow so much. She loved snow so much. And we went outside on this dark, cold December 4th night and it started snowing. And that always gets me.
Yeah. Ooh, I don't even
Because
know
it was
her. That
kind of,
makes me want to cry.
yeah,
Lord
well, it was
mercy.
kind of like, a sign in a
Yeah.
way, like a I'm okay sign.
Yeah.
And so even though it was still horrible and tragic, it was kind of like a peaceful moment
Yeah.
for just a few minutes.
Yeah.
And
Oh
then
my
from there, it was just chaos. And luckily, I hate to say luckily, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying luckily it happened that way, but because he did what he did and killed himself, we didn't have to go to court and we didn't have to deal with all the crazy stuff that could have occurred afterwards that a 12-year-old should not have to deal with.
yeah.
So
So it's just
uh,
done. I
it
have
was
so
just
many
done.
questions. I have so many
Ask
questions.
away. Yes,
Oh
please.
my gosh. Okay. So again, I flashed back to in our time, we're about the same age. So we would do all of my friends. It was the thing. You'd hop on those chat rooms and it's just
Yes.
like you said, it's just screen names. You can say whatever you want. You can send whatever pictures you want. And my friends were all over the chat rooms. I didn't do it as much. I usually chatted with friends from school that I knew, but my parents were strict. But I'd go over to my friend's house who would do that. So explain how. So we're talking Dave from California says he's a younger guy. Now, you were still able to talk to him on the phone, and you said you even FaceTime sometimes or Skyped
Yeah, we
sometimes.
never did him. We
Okay.
Skype with him, but there were real telephone conversations with him.
Yeah. And he
And,
sounds like a 12-year-old.
as an adult now, I'm like, how did we not hear that? But then we were 12. It's
Yeah.
also like, if I
Yeah.
put my 8-year-old on the phone with a 47-year-old man, is she going to tell me he's old? Probably not. That's
He
not,
could have
I
he
mean,
could
she
have had
might. She's
somebody
kind
else
of,
talk.
absolutely. Well, she's kind of brutal. She probably would say
She's like, he
someone's old.
sounds ugly, by the way.
Old man, yeah.
Old and ugly. That,
But I feel
yeah,
like we weren't. Nowadays, we're looking for that. We're looking for
true.
the bad guy, and we were not looking for a bad guy in
Yeah,
2002. We were just
yeah.
looking for friends and cool friends. He was like the surfer boy from California. How cool is that?
Wow, that's so wild. So had he sent pictures of like what?
Yes, of a very surfer boy
Sure.
guy with long blonde hair.
Wow, isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Now, looking back on him, did he have a history of anything or was it totally spontaneous?
I don't think I ever truly saw that he had a history on anything. I did see like his wife and him were separated, but I don't know why. And I know that like shortly after, I mean, they really dove deep after Casey's murder and everything into him to see like, oh my, is this his first time? I know that I heard rumors. I'm not going to say it's true that they looked into him for like Elizabeth Smart and a lot of other missing girls.
Right.
But I never heard any definitive proof that he was tied to anything else.
Yeah,
But if this was his first, I mean,
he did a good
shockingly,
job.
yeah, shockingly good, but also, God, you were a
Yeah.
messed up human being.
Wow. Thinking about like going through this from a mental health standpoint, you think about because people are like, oh, he's out of his mind. Well, think about it this way. He's in California. He meets this girl that's super cute. She's interested in him. He's incredibly lonely. And I think internet can make you leave reality for a little bit, which is why people
Absolutely.
like video games and looking at pop stars and everything because you're looking at things that aren't true, but they get you away from your reality, which isn't so great sometimes. And so
Absolutely.
I feel like it's a lot easier to happen than people realize. People listening to this are probably like, that'll never happen. I want to ensure you it could easily happen, right?
hmm
So did
We used
Case,
to say the "it can't happen to me" syndrome is what we
yeah.
used to say
Oh,
when we were teaching younger kids growing up. Like everybody gets a case of the "it can't happen to me"
yeah.
syndrome, but it can.
Yeah. I feel like as a kid, I had a pretty good head on my shoulders. My parents gave me all the ins and outs of things, but even still, you think you're invincible. You don't know better. You don't know better. Your reasoning skills are not there as a 12 and
Absolutely.
13-year-old. No matter how
Yes.
smart and how even keel you are, you just can't even fathom that, right?
Right.
Let's hop into had you all sent where she lived to him? Did he have to like Google that? Like, how in the world did that happen?
I believe the way they really figured that he learned where she lived is Casey's mother was killed in a horrible automobile accident when Casey was 7 or 8 years old. And because of that, a website was created in her honor so friends and family could go in and see Christy and her beautiful face. And, it was like a memorial site. But in it, on that site, was the address where Casey and the Woody family lived. But again, in 2002, that wasn't supposed to be dangerous.
Yeah, even now,
Like
people make
it
Facebook
was so
groups.
people could send cards and letters and mail and to the family as a like a I love you type thing. And it'd been up for years. It wasn't a brand new website. And I think the friendship that Casey and Dave formed, Casey loved her mom and missed her mom every single day, and Dave played off of that. He had an aunt that was in a coma, and like he fed off of her sweetheart with his dirty lies. And I believe that is probably where he obtained her address
Yeah.
because, like, he'd never sent her gifts or anything like that in the mail.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, that is wild. And people make Facebook groups all the time, like party
Absolutely.
invitations. And if she
hmm
knew she was friends with Dave, easy to send that to him, easy to show him the
Absolutely. And
website.
I'm sure that's what happened. And she was probably telling her mom's story one night and was like, oh, go look at this website. It's got pictures of my beautiful mom on it.
Wow.
And scroll to the bottom and there's their
Yeah.
address.
Wow, so easy to happen. So easy to
Yeah,
happen. So again, to put it into perspective, this man drove his car from California to Central Arkansas, and
correct.
I think what I've read was he just kind of sat outside the house for a while to make sure she was alone, but really didn't know when she'd be alone. Just kind of
Absolutely.
waited.
I think he just gauged it. Rick's police car wasn't there, so,
Right.
check number one. I'm sure I've been told that the trip he made to kidnap her was not his first trip to Arkansas. They were able to prove that he had been here at least once or twice before.
No way.
Yes. That same year, the city we live in, Greenbrier, does Greenbrier Fall Festival, and every year there are kings and queens for every grade. And that year, Kacie had gotten queen of the seventh grade, and it's a big deal. I mean, it's like prom except without the dance.
Right.
Beautiful dress, you get presented to the court, all this cool stuff. And I've been told that he was there for that, which would have only been, that would have been like October of 2002-ish. So it would have only been a few months prior. And so I figured if all of that is true, those, I mean, stakeout, I hate to use that, but
Sure.
that's when you learn people's schedule and when her dad's home and when her brother's home. And her brother had a friend that lived there that was a roommate when he's going to be there. Um, she lived down a very rural road, like closest neighbor wouldn't hear a scream. I hate to say it that way,
Yeah,
but
sure.
unless you were just outside really letting it go inside a house, they're not going to hear anything. That's the rural area it was.
How terrifying. So
Yes.
he drives to Arkansas, kind of stakes out, sees when she's going to be alone. He goes in her house, kidnaps her. What then? Like, do you know what happened from there?
I know that he had a hotel room rented in Conway. I do not believe there's been any showing that he took her back to the hotel room, but he rented a storage unit, like a mini storage unit in Conway, and that's where they ended up finding him
Yeah. Now
and
they found
her.
him pretty quick, right?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I'm not, 100% on
Sure.
investigations or anything, but she was kidnapped sometime late December 3rd night. And I mean, 24 hours at max
Okay.
is all it took to find her. Like, so I would say that all of the law enforcement that participated, because it was multiple agencies, including the FBI, which always tells you it's a big deal.
Right.
Um, I mean, I feel like the investigation was very quick when it could have definitely been worse.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wasn't sure where he took her. And then you wonder, was this all planned out? Did he have
I feel
something
like it,
written down?
I
Yeah.
feel like it had to have been
Yeah.
like it was too plain,
Yeah.
like get her, take her to this place, like it just seems like it was like you don't just rent a mini storage unit same day. Like, I mean, I know you can, but I feel like maybe records would show he'd rented it, prior.
Right.
I've always wanted to kind of look at the police report, but I'm also too scared.
Yeah. Understandable. Understandable. So he kidnapped her, likely took her back to a hotel, not sure, probably realized people were looking at for him.
Absolutely. I'm
Took
sure very
him,
quickly he realized
yeah. Were they both in the storage unit? Is that where they
they
found both
both
of
were.
them?
Yeah. They found Kacie. He was in a minivan and they found her still tied down in the back of the minivan. He'd removed the seats of
Yeah.
the back of the minivan because the seats come up and had her restrained to where the seats would connect. And while they were, setting up, unfortunately, you can't just barge in because you don't know if he's armed or, anything like that. And so while they were setting up, they heard a gunshot go off, and that's when they stormed the mini storage unit. And she was in the van, and he was outside the van.
Okay. Gotcha. Oh, goodness
Yes.
gracious. That is wild. I did not know Casey. I didn't know of the story. And even, what is that, 20 something years later,
Hmm.
I'm still just completely shocked and dumbfounded. And I can't imagine the stress and the feedback that Rick got being a police officer.
Absolutely. Yeah,
People being
absolutely.
like, come on, you're a cop. I just can't imagine the stress that you all went through during
Yeah.
all of that and trying to fathom that as a 12 and 13-year-old.
Yeah. It's like, I always say, like, probably should have got therapy after that.
Well, now
I
we know.
didn't,
Yeah,
but probably should
generations have
have.
changed. Yeah,
It, absolutely. I was about to say, like, if that happened to my kids, man, therapy next day.
yeah, yeah. You're sleeping at
But
therapy camp.
absolutely. But, we had like our middle school counselor. I mean, we were in and out of there for the rest of the school year, but like, I'm like, we probably all needed professional
Yeah, I was gonna
therapy
say
after.
they knew nothing. Yeah, like they'd read
Absolutely.
a book on therapy back in that day.
Yes, I mean, we had the best counselor ever at the middle school. I mean, like,
Yeah.
even to this day, like, still the best counselor ever. But I always am like, Mom, you probably should have put us in therapy because
Yeah.
then maybe I wouldn't be such a like helicopter parent.
Sister, there's no getting rid of that. You were gonna be that anyway. I
I
can't.
I always tell people like they're like, "What's your biggest fear?" I'm like, "My kids will be kidnapped," and they look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
you're
"No,
like,
you don't
it's a real
understand."
thing.
Like I thought I misplaced my oldest or my youngest once when we were at a outdoor toad suck days in Conway, and I was like having a meltdown. I could not see her. I could not find her, and my husband had to like grab me and be like, "She is in the stroller you are pushing."
You're
I
like,
just
you don't
lost sight
understand.
of her and like deer in the headlights couldn't see her anymore and like had a
Yeah.
meltdown.
Sure, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Okay, as dark as that story is, I want to use it to bring awareness to just how scary the internet can be for kids, for
Absolutely.
adults, but especially with kids, right? They can't grasp the reality of, yes, they're friendly, but that might not be really who you're talking about. Um,
Absolutely.
Now that you're older, talking about your kids, how can we find a balance between protecting kids but also respecting their privacy? Because even I have trouble with that with cell phones. And how do you
Yeah,
balance that?
it's a hard balance. I mean, it's the you want to keep them safe, but respect them enough to let them develop judgment and a little bit of independence as they get older. The younger you start out with teaching online safety and parent monitoring and stuff, the better. If I tried to start pushing it on my 16-year-old right now, she would push it right back.
Yeah,
But start young. I mean, kids are on technology. I mean, I think they give them Chromebooks in kindergarten
I was about
now.
to say
Like,
4 years
it's
old.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm sure we're handing our 2-year-olds, cell phones with YouTube to keep them entertained now. I know I
Yes.
was like,
Yes.
I'm not innocent of that. Um, so you definitely want to have open communication with your kids from every age. Don't just talk to them when they're 8 and stop talking to them after that, but open communication about online safety, about cyberbullying, the type of scams that can happen online, inappropriate content, because it's just free in the world everywhere nowadays. Encourage them to share their online experiences with you. When they're younger, that's going to be easy. When they're older, it's not going to be easy.
I love
So,
that you pointed that out. My mom,
um,
my mom used to say I had shoulder shrugging syndrome because I don't know.
yeah.
I was a nice kid, but I literally had nothing to talk. I don't know. What'd you do at school? Hmm. Who did you
No,
talk to
like,
online? I don't know.
yeah,
That's just
same.
all I could say. That's it. I wasn't trying
Absolutely.
to be rude.
Yes. Yes. Set clear expectations with them, like you said about your parents, like from the very, like they told you the rules and the expectations they had online. Age appropriate rules, obviously. Don't, I wish I could block Snapchat from my 16-year-old, but that's not the world that I live in. That is how those kids communicate nowadays. She is currently blocked from Snapchat because she's grounded,
Because
but
she's sassy.
that's right. But she age appropriate things. My 8-year-old has YouTube Kids, not regular YouTube. Luckily, a lot of apps and programs have developed more kids safe databases for that. Encourage them. Let's see. Oversight and protection, parental control apps. They're great. I use one. There are lots of them on the market. Most of them you are going to have to pay a monthly subscription fee for, and you get what you pay for. If you get a free one, it's not going to be great. So I pay a monthly fee for mine, and I think it's wonderful. I'm able to specifically go through every single app on their device and filter it or completely block it. So it's super nice. And I think it's only like $15 a month. So it's not breaking
Worth
the
it.
bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oversight protection. Don't let them know that if something happens, they're not going to get in trouble. Don't make them feel like it's
Yeah.
their fault because no matter what happens, even if they make the friend, they're still the victim in whatever occurs to them. And you really have to let your kids know that no matter what, it's not their fault. Because I know if at 12, if I was getting yelled at for this 47-year-old man talking to me. Like, that's not my fault. He's the bad guy. I'm not the
Yeah.
bad guy. Um, and then as they grow up, adjust your level of squeezing them to death. Let them go a little bit, because if I'm you don't want to, the more you try to protect them, the more they're going to try to rebel and get fake profiles and everything. So what I do with my oldest and my youngest, but my youngest doesn't have as much. I open access to her phone. She knows I can see what she does. I do have the parental control app on her phone, so I can block anything. It tells me every time she downloads an application, it'll tell me what application she downloads, and she knows that. I don't hide it from her. Don't hide it from them either. That's almost worse, is doing it behind their back and then yelling at them when they mess up, because then you're not trusting them. You have to trust your kid to do the right thing. But you also have to lead by example. I am just as guilty as anybody else of sitting and looking at my phone and scrolling through TikTok for way too long. And all that's doing is teaching my kid that it's okay to sit there and scroll through TikTok for 400 hours. So
Yeah.
model the behavior that you want them to do, and show them like how to protect their personal data and their name, and don't share their address and those type of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when we were about that age, there was a huge surge in people being like, don't share pictures. Like, if you're a girl, don't share bathing suit pictures because it can go on the internet, and whatever's on the internet will be there
Yeah,
forever.
I
I
think I
remember
have that.
that being a
I have that.
huge
I have that
thing.
written down somewhere over here. Is like I tell
Yeah.
that to my oldest, especially like TikTok is fun. I get it, and your cute little dances are adorable. I wish I had that rhythm, but that's like anybody can save that, and that's there forever. And as a career woman, like when I'm doing interviews and stuff, the first thing I do is jump on Google and type in someone's name. And other places are doing that,
Sure.
like to
Oh,
see what's out
absolutely.
there. And if when you were 16, you took an inappropriate picture and shared it with someone and they put it out there, like even though technically you were the victim, it's still you that they're seeing. They're not seeing Fred over there who actually shared it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's very important, is what's on the internet is there forever. And
Yeah.
there's very little we can do to get it taken down nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Once it's there forever. There's also, with my nieces being around that age, so many apps you can get now that I hate to say it, Jessica, we old, sister. We're a little bit
I
old, but we
mean,
can't keep up. There's so
we
many
didn't have
apps.
apps.
Exactly. They're apps with new names that we don't know about. They're apps with secret names so that parents don't know about them. They're apps that
Absolutely.
disappear, just things like that. So being
Hmm.
cautious about that. Like you said, I feel like being
Absolutely.
very open with your kid is one of the biggest things. Don't,
Yes, 100%. And
yeah,
and I mean, you're going to have to do your own research and find out about some of those apps and how to unhide a photo album, or unhide, they have like you can hide stuff on your phones now, where there's secure folders that you have to have a password to get into. Like there
Lord
are so
have
many
mercy,
ways
bless
for
them.
anybody to hide stuff. So you really just have to be tech savvy too, which is sometimes not the easiest thing for certain generations, I guess. Like, luckily, I grew up, with, I got the first good cell phones,
That's
my
right.
brick Nokia cell phone, but I've grown up with smartphones, so I'm able to more easily understand them. Whereas if I gave my mom my phone and said, find my hidden folder, she'd be like, what's that?
Yeah, it's in the drawer over there in the
She
office.
literally calls me and she's like, I got this text message about RCS texting. I'm like, just don't worry about it,
Or it's
mom.
like I have to pay my toll. You know, all those
Yes,
scam
yes.
texts.
Oh my gosh,
You
those are
owe a
the
toll.
worst.
And you're like, I live in Arkansas. We don't have to pay.
Because I work for the Arkansas Department of Transportation, we got those phone calls like, I didn't pay my toll, and I was like,
Oh
we don't
no.
have toll roads in Arkansas. It's a scam. Don't pay it." And then they're like, "I
Oh
already did," and I'm
no.
like, "Oh, you're in trouble."
Oh no. People fell for that?
I
Oh,
feel like the older generations did. Like my
golly.
grandma probably would have, but I feel
Yeah.
like even her, I'm like, "Grandma."
You're like, come on, sister. Dang.
But
So
yes,
what
people
are
fell for it.
yeah, yeah. So what are some red flags that parents should maybe be on the lookout for with their children's online behavior? What should we be
Yeah.
looking?
So I always say that sudden secrecy is a bad sign. Not even internet related. Sudden secrecy is a
Sure.
bad sign in just real life at all. But quickly switching the screens on things, for us, that was a computer screen. A cell phone's a little different. So I would say, quickly locking their phone when you
Yeah.
walk up to them. That's a little suspicious. Hiding devices. If you happen to find a spare cell phone lying around, like these kids will go buy themselves burner phones now. Like it's that crazy, or being defensive about things they're doing online. Those are very thing. Isolating themselves, mood swings. I have a 16-year-old, so
I'm
mood swings
thinking
are
I did
normal,
all
but
these things. I
I
did
would
all these
say
things.
mood swings, like they're on their phone, they're fine, they're on their phone doing something, and then all of a sudden something's wrong. That's not a good sign. Communication clues, like talking about new friends that you don't know, but they're not willing to explain them to you. My rule has always been for my children, if you cannot physically walk up and shake that person's hand, you don't know them.
Yeah.
Period. Like, I don't care that it's Fred's sister's cousin. You know Fred, you don't know sister's cousin. So that's like if you can't physically shake their hand and introduce them to your parents, you don't know them. They're a stranger. Um, Obviously, accessing inappropriate content, that's a bad sign. And whether they're doing it on their own or someone's leading them to do that, that's not good. And then sharing personal info. If all of a sudden your kid is receiving packages from people that you don't know or Amazon orders, because these predators will do that.
Right.
Like, and I can't imagine how easy it is nowadays. Like back then, like it was USPS and it took 6 weeks to get your mail. But now you can have an Amazon package next day if you're lucky. And so I would any of those things, but also staying up really late at night on their devices, bad sign. Even though kids are addicted to the devices, that could also just be it. But I always recommend, what do they need their phone at bedtime for? Like my
Lock it
teenager
up.
gives me, that's right, my teenager brings her phone to me as soon as she gets home from work. And it stays in my room until in the morning when I wake her up from school. So just be mindful of how they're acting because a lot of the time they will pull away from what they know. Like it's easy to like, oh, I don't need to talk to my mom, I'll go talk to my friend. And if you're used to them being more open and connected with you and they stop, that's usually a really bad sign.
Yeah. I love those. I think those are great. Absolutely. Just being aware of little changes.
Absolutely.
What kind of conversations should parents be having with their kids about internet use? Like how do you do that without coming across like, Mom, you're such a loser?
I
And
mean,
like,
you're probably
the
going to be a
yeah, you
loser,
probably, I
but
guess you kind of are. But I feel like kids are like that. Like you said, it's never gonna happen. It's not true. Like, how do you even address that? And without like giving them paranoia that if there's a fine
absolutely.
line there. How would you
Yeah.
address that?
So I would obviously, goodness, talk about safety first and
Yeah.
why the safety of being safe online is important. And teach them how to recognize suspicious things, people, accounts. These fake profiles nowadays are insane.
Yeah.
AI is not making it any better. Holy cow, AI is really like it fools me
Yeah.
sometimes because it's
Absolutely.
so good. So we really need to teach them that, and we need to teach them if someone makes them feel uncomfortable online, what to do about it. Because a lot of these kids, they don't want to tell their parents. They're afraid they're going to get in trouble. We need to make it known that that's not going to happen, though. We need to teach them about digital kindness because that's important. That's one thing that I am so grateful that I never had to experience was online bullying because
Yeah.
it is horrible nowadays. Like these I feel like kids are meaner nowadays than they used to be.
Yeah. They're
Okay.
a lot more bold. If they can get
Yes,
behind a
like
screen, they don't have to do. You don't get in
absolutely. It's
trouble.
so
Your mom didn't see you, dad didn't see you.
absolutely and prove it was me.
And prove it was
Prove
me.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to text you from my real phone number because there are 16 apps where I can get a fake phone number and text you to bully you. Like
God, that's
it's
so sad. We could
crazy.
do a whole other podcast on that.
Oh my gosh, right? But then yes, we also need to be setting healthy boundaries with our kids' screen times, balance. I know that's hard. I am just as guilty as any other parent about not balancing screen time because sometimes it's just easier to say, go watch your iPad.
Yeah.
Like it just is, especially when you're cooking dinner or anything else. But you really do need to balance it for your kids and for yourself, though.
Yeah.
Like sit down and play skip bow.
Yeah.
That's our go-to game here.
I love it. I love it.
Talk about how social media can affect self-esteem and body image. Like, I mean, I know that body image was a big thing even when I was a kid, but like you said earlier, with the celebrity presence and how beautiful Taylor Swift is and her beautiful long legs and everything, like you can't obtain that in real life. Like,
Yeah.
you
Well,
just can't, and I hate it.
yeah, even as an adult, I'm sure everyone is guilty of this. So for like me
Absolutely.
being self-employed, I see all these people. I'm excited for them, but there's also I need to do better. I could do better. I'm not keeping up with the Joneses, and I'm an adult. Like I
Yes,
know,
100%.
yeah, I
I
know I'm
like,
doing the
it's
best I
like
can.
something about wall Pilates, and I'm like, I should do
I
that.
need to do that. Yeah,
I should
yeah,
do that. I need that.
exactly. So again, like just imagining it in a teenager's face.
Absolutely, because they're just, I'm too skinny, or I've never heard I'm too skinny ever out of
I
a
was like, no,
teenager's
I don't
mouth.
think so.
No, 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 I'm too fat. I'm too
Yeah,
fat. Like, no, you're not. You're perfect. Quit it. I have to
exactly.
like with my 16-year-old, I'm like, stop it. You're beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, I hate it so
But
much.
we're gonna say what everybody keeps hearing. Not everything on the internet is true.
Ooh, amen. Amen.
So we really got to teach our kids that,
Yeah.
especially with the AI of the world now, because man, it really makes it look true now.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, really just trust and openness. We need to teach them to trust us and to be open with us as their parents, and that they're not going to get, immediate punishment if something happens. And just remember, they're always the victim in anything that happens. And you got to remember that it's hard and kids are scared. And when they tell us as parents things, that it's hard for us too, because not only are we scared now, but we're angry. And our first instinct at parents is to be mad at the kid. Like, as much as we don't want to be, that is like when you get angry and scared, you take it out on whoever's right in front of you. Ask my husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that will just push a child away from you. So you really have to like take a minute and take a breather before having the conversation with them about what's going on.
Yeah. I love those. Absolutely. And I love you pointing out not everything you see is real. Don't compare yourself to that. Not everybody you
Absolutely.
see is real. Don't believe that. Yeah,
Mhm.
because AI, people getting on making, you can even make pictures. Even on my phone right now, you can take stuff out. You can make it
Yes,
smaller. You can make it
I've literally
bigger.
done it. I took just like a normal picture of myself and put it into Chat GPT and was like, make this look like a professional headshot. And it was just like, I was like, dang,
Ta-da!
I
It's, hey, look at that girl. I
did
love it. Yeah, it's that easy. I love it. I love it. Jessica, as we wrap this up, what's one piece of advice you feel like every parent should know raising a kid in the digital age? Like, what's one piece of advice you'd give that you're like, this is the one I'd stick with?
It's never gonna get easier. I
Thanks
know
for
that
leaving
doesn't.
on a positive note. I feel stressed.
I know it isn't though. I mean, last year AI wasn't such a thing, and now it's blown into a whole different realm, and so it's not gonna get easier. So you're just gonna have to continue to adjust to how you treat things and what level of protection you want to protect your kids at.
Yeah, I love that. I was
Get a
talking to
parental control app.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody today. Times have changed, and it
Times have
is what it
changed.
is.
That
Like it's
makes me
time to
feel
step up.
Yes, that makes me feel my age when I say
Yeah,
that. Or
times
also
have
when I say
changed.
like this generation.
These apps on the phones, getting burner phones.
That's
Yeah,
right. Burner phones. I mean, that just blows my mind.
it's incredibly sad, is what it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Jessica, I cannot thank you enough. I know one, that story still hits on. I cannot imagine everything I could talk to you for days about it, but I want to focus mostly on the internet awareness and just that it can, in fact, happen to you and to be safe
Absolutely.
about it. So thank you so much for continuing Casey's legacy. I know
Well,
Rick
thank
would be
you.
so proud of you, as would Casey. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Yeah, it was such a pleasure having you on.
You too. It was great speaking with you, and I hope this really helps people. I love to share Casey's story.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so listeners, you know how this works. If you want to watch the video of this, you can see us chit-chatting. Hop on YouTube, type in at TownsendTmusic YouTube. You can see all of the interviews on video if you'd rather see the video instead of just hearing the audio of it. And then, of course, just like every guest and every episode, Jessica and I are going to keep chatting for patrons only. I do extra exclusive questions. So if you want to hop on there, go to patreon.com/TownsendTmusic. That is how we keep this project and these podcasts and all of these amazing, amazing guests coming back and keep it going. If not, we'll see you next time.
If you'd like to hear the rest of this interview, visit patreon.com/TownsendTmusic. And don't forget, you can also watch the interviews on our YouTube channel at TownsendTmusic YouTube.